10. These are my top 10 favorite books. Check out my jacket, isn't it cool? I sewed this patch on. I actually put on all these patches myself. Hello there, I'm Juana de la Selva, and today I want to talk to you about my top 10 favorite books. I want to start with this book, Addicted to War. This is a graphic novel that talks about why the US can't kick militarism. The industrial military complex makes money off continual war. So this book really illustrates exactly what's happening when we see false flags in the news, things like that. So this is a very eye-opening book. I highly recommend this. I actually keep 3 copies of this book at all times so that I can give this book to people that haven't read it before. I love this book. Not that it's fun to read and not that I have a good time reading it. Another one of my favorite books is called The Children's Guide to Astral Projection. This is a very special book. I forget where I found this.
Considering the somewhat dark imagery, I think this would be more accurately titled The Comprehensive Guide to Astral Projection. I do think it does an incredible job of effectively expressing how attention energy works, and it gives you different experiments you can do to achieve astral projection.
I got very into astral projection because of this book here, which actually I just ripped the cover off on accident just minutes ago. I feel like this book came from another dimension. This book I've read so many times, and I've had a few astral projection experiences that were utterly mind-blowing, and this book really helped me to achieve that. I have so many books on astral projection, but a lot of them are very complicated and they give you like just too much information almost. But this book is very simple, small, and it's just so intriguing. It's so mysterious. I always come back to this book. It's one of my favorite things that I own. Creative Visualization by Shakti Gawain. This book is also a very unassuming but important, monumental book that has changed my life, and I don't say that lightly. Through learning the techniques illustrated in this book, I tried them out and had miraculous experiences happen that don't make any sense. But this book basically shows you how to do magic. This book gives you tools to create otherworldly experiences in your life, and I can't recommend it higher. Everyone needs a copy. This is one of those books that just stays in my library. Most of the books that I own I actually don't lend out, and it's only because I read them so often that I can't bear to part with them. The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. I just discovered this book recently. I got it for $1 at a sale, and it turns out this is a first edition from 1968. And I didn't know at the time when I picked this up a month ago that this is actually a huge classic that everybody knows about that was made into a cartoon in the 80s. It's actually a very dark story. Considering that it's about a unicorn and you'd think it's like light and fluffy, it's really not. It's an intense story, but it constantly keeps it moving along at a good pace. And there are so many good quotable lines from this book. It's written beautifully, like poetic prose, and I had such a good time while I was reading it. I don't think I'll reread it very soon or often because it's pretty dark, but I'm very glad for the experience I had when reading it the first time because it's so beautiful. So many of the lines in this book I wanted to like make into art. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. This book is a reference of mine that I read often. It's referred to by people who study Dr. Joe Dispenza. If you study that subject of subconscious mind programming, you're going to find people referring to this book. It has different techniques for you to program your subconscious mind, which once you start to learn about your subconscious, you realize how everything we're experiencing in life is due to the programming of our subconscious. So if you learn to reprogram your subconscious yourself, then you can start to create a life that you want rather than a life that's been laid out for you. So I can't recommend this book higher. These 3 books are so close to my heart. They're like great friends of mine. That's why I'm so sad I ripped the cover off of Out of Body Experiences. Our Dolphin Ancestors. This book is mind-blowing. I love it. So much great information in here that I'm like, why is this not more well known? The whole time I was reading it, I kept having moments where I was just like, oh, I want to tell everyone about this book. It's very exciting, really easy to read, very easy to get through. Sometimes when I'm reading technical nonfiction like this, I can become bored because I'm not following a story. But in this instance, I wasn't bored whatsoever because it's so fascinating. Love the way this was laid out. Read this very quickly. Loved this book. Earth, Pleiadian Keys to the Living Library by Barbara Marciniak. I found out later that Barbara Marciniak is a very beloved author. I understand why. the first time I read this book, I was like, what are they talking about? And then after I had more experience with meditation and a lot more experience being quiet in nature, I suddenly understood this book better. And now this book is a imperative resource for me. This book talks about how the earth has wisdom within everything in this earth, has hidden keys within it. There's wisdom and knowledge hidden in all of nature, and it shows you how to access that. So this book is next level. Love it. Obsessed. The Bear and the Nightingale is a beautiful fiction book that I adore. I read it very quickly. It's a part of a series, and I actually haven't been able to get into the second book. I immediately bought the second book after this because I was so thrilled with how this went, only to discover that the second book didn't carry me. I lost steam with the whole thing. So I want to reread this book and reapproach the series because I loved the way this was written. It's so satisfying. It's like a modern day, or it's a fairy tale that takes place in Russia, and I learned a lot about Russian folklore through this book. But I just loved the world of it, and the main character, I think her name is Vasya. I loved her because she's like a rebellious spirit, a warrior princess. Love her. Not really a princess, but she's got that energy, you know? Be Here Now is one of the most important books I've ever discovered. When I first had a spiritual experience in 2014, I felt completely disoriented. Everything about my atheist understanding of the world was completely ripped apart in one day when I had a spiritual experience in which I felt a very loving presence surrounding me, and my body I started thanking the sky, I started thanking God, and at the same time another part of my brain was like, what the hell are you doing? So I had like a couple days where I felt like I was a split personality. It was a very challenging time. I thought I was going crazy, and this book perfectly expressed what I was going through, which none of my friends or family understood. So I felt like I was losing my mind, and then this book was like, nope, you're not losing your mind, you're just waking up. So this book is filled with beautiful imagery that was hand stamped. The middle part is all artful, poetic expressions of the spiritual ascension journey. That was so helpful to me. I cried so many times reading this book. This book is great for if you're having controlled, sacred explorations of your consciousness through plant medicine or different psychedelics. This is a great book to have as a friend when you're having a conscious experience with those substances, so that, because it's just a great thing to have in those moments. I feel like I got a lot of insight out of it by using this book when I was exploring my consciousness. The back part of the book is the Cookbook for a Sacred Life, which is showing you how to do sadhana. Sadhana is a Sanskrit word that means spiritual practice. And this gives you, it's like recipes. It shows you exactly how to incorporate spiritual practices into your life. The beginning part, this is written by Ram Dass. You know who he is. And the beginning part talks about his life and how he came to a spiritual journey, which is a very interesting story. And then it goes into the middle part, which is the art. So this book is, it's a treasure. They're all treasures. I can't think of a better word than treasure. So let's see how many books this is. 10. These are my top 10 favorite books. I have more than 10 favorite books, but these are 10 of my absolute favorite books. I hope so much that you're enjoying what I'm sharing with you. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.